So we started with falcon, high-speed bird pursuit. We moved into the land of the hawk, more mammal kind of a pursuit sort of a thing. Agility is a factor with some of them. And now we've gone into the night shift, nocturnal predation, stealth technology. In a word, this is ambush. So we see right at the bat, giant night vision eyes. So I'm like 195 pounds. Albert weighs 4. I'm a much bigger creature, but his eyes dwarf mine. You know, if our military see the enemy, and if the enemy doesn't have this technology, we're invisible. They don't see us. Owls enjoy this as well. If they're hunting at daytime, a diurnal animal after dark, owls are virtually invisible, especially on those clouded evenings where the moon and the stars aren't shining. That's a tactical advantage. We notice that owls have an unusual flat face. This face is accommodating these giant night vision eyes. This face is also collecting sound waves super efficiently. We have an external ear that helps us to hear. If we remove this ear, we couldn't hear as efficiently. The owl's face is performing the same function on a better scale. His hearing is far sharper than ours. So they're not only looking for their next meal, they're listening as well.
Where's his ears?
Owls have uber soft feathers. Some of you have felt these. Those of you who haven't, when I'm done speaking, we'll try to do a photograph thing and you can feel it in him later. Softer is quieter. Feathered toes. And as much as this looks like hairy feet, we know that mammals have hair, birds have feathers. These are just specifically adapted feathers to be on its toes. This isn't about keeping his toes warm, this is sound dampening. Softer is quieter. The leading edge of Albert's wing is not smooth like that of other birds or that of an airplane. It's serrated like a fine-tooth comb. So that when an owl flies, it slows the air, it slows the owl, and it makes for quieter flight. The obvious advantage being, you know, they're approaching invisibly and inaudibly. They're not seen, they're not heard. The ultimate in ambush predation. These owls are able to kill animals like peregrine falcons routinely. When peregrine falcons were suffering the ravages of DDT, when we were breeding them in captivity for release to the wild, one of the biggest impediments to getting them back up and running were great horned owls. Great horned owls don't have to fly 200 miles an hour to catch peregrine falcons. We're defenseless. Owls are taking advantage of this winning strategy. This ambush has really paid dividends. Owls are global. Any place you go except Antarctica, you're going to bump into some kind of an owl or another. Here in California, the cousin to this, we have the great horned owl. We also have the barn owl, the burrowing owl, the great gray owl, the spotted owl, the barred owl, the screech owl, and maybe one or two others I might be leaving off. Owls are an amazing force to be reckoned with, for sure. So, typically in your neighborhood, this time of year is a good time to be listening for owls. They're broadcasting, delineating territory. Often when you hear an owl, you hear the echo, you hear the response from the mate. They're communicating back and forth, probably keeping tabs on one another and occupying a territory audibly. When a lion roars, the male lion roars, "My territory!" Owls do this sort of thing as well. That means he's happy. He's happy. So Albert's an imprint. He came out of a facility that a friend of mine runs in Las Vegas. When he was 18 days old, he was put on a plane. I hand raised him in the house with my kids. Here we are 12, 13 years later. So he's an imprint. He thinks of me as a pair bonded. Initially I was the mother, and then we became kind of a pair in his mind. He's this time of year, very hormonal, because this is the time of year when these kinds of owls would be getting into the reproductive mode. So he's been especially liking me as of late. He's like, "You look so good tonight." Thanks, Albert. Thank you. I don't know if you saw these talons. So these are needle sharp, literally. These are curved to function as effectively as hooks. The real strength of the owl is found in the foot. Once these hooks get set, once they lock onto an animal, the prospects of getting away, not very good. We call great horned owls flying tigers for a reason. They are voracious, formidable predators, and anytime you hear about a cat or dog being eaten by a bird of prey, it's almost always going to be a great horned owl. They're notorious for these kinds of things. I used to free range chickens, and even my Anaconda roosters with big spurs, the owls would knock them out of the trees and kill them. Not a problem. These are powerful predators in their own right. In terms of intelligence, we often hear the wise old owl kind of a mythology. The ancient Greece goddess, the Athena thing, the So I've been training birds from childhood, and I've trained lots of varieties. My specialty is raptors, but I've trained some others too. And I can tell you they're not all on a plane. The ravens and crows are being today compared to, intelligence-wise, being compared to chimpanzees. These are our nearest DNA relatives. Corvids will fashion and use tools. We once used to differentiate humans from animals based on tool usage. We learned that, well, primates use tools, and so do corvids. These are smart animals. The parrots that I work with, I have an African gray and a citron cockatoo, uber smart. My African gray has a command of the English language that is uncanny. I can go to the pet store and I can buy puzzles for my parrots where they have to do things. They have to logic their way to solve things to get to a treat. These are smart birds. The eagles that I've trained are maybe not quite as smart as the corvids. Maybe. They're somewhere, they're very smart animals. The falcons that I work with strike me as being not as smart as the eagles, and the hawks seem to be a little more primitive. And when it comes to owls, these are not your sharpest tool. These are your small brain, primitive thinking kinds of predators. That said, when it comes to ambush predation, when it comes to stealth, these are genius. These owls are perfect for what it is they're built to do. Intelligence notwithstanding, they're amazing animals in their own right. So I live in Brea, just a few miles from here, and sometimes at night we'll have owls come to my house. Albert will hoot them in. These are going to be typically great horn. When I go on camping trips, any owl with an earshot will show up at my campsite because Albert will hoot them in. You guys can try this at your house. You can go online, find owl broadcast recordings, put this on a device, broadcast this from your back porch, and see if you don't hoot owls into your house as well. When biologists, ornithologists, when they're doing owl studies, this is what they do. They broadcast these sounds, and they see who comes in. That's a great way of. Otherwise, owls can be very reclusive. Often they're in our neighborhoods, and we don't even know it. Conversely, rather than the hooting, the barn owl, which is the other common urban raptor we're going to have, the other common urban owl, they make a screeching sound. Google this up and you can hear it. I can't really replicate it. They're a whole different kind of a beast. These barn owls are rodent hunting specialists. Your pets are very safe. Rats, mice, voles, shrews, pretty much a wrap for barn owls. So having them around is very useful. They're going to help you with rodent control. One of the biggest problems that urban owls have to deal with are rodenticides. Please don't put out rodent baits. If you kill out the current, generation of rats today with poisons, you may well also kill off your owls. Your rats are going to regenerate much faster. You're going to be back in the rodents before your owls are going to be able to regenerate. So do yourselves a favor and please don't put out rodent baits. That's going to be helpful. Fantails. Okay, so are there any owl questions before I kind of shift the conversation a little bit?
What is the official name of that owl?
Eurasian eagle owl. By weight, these are the heaviest owls on the planet, to my knowledge. There's an African fish owl, I believe, that has a broader wingspan, but these are the heaviest. This is a male, and in the vertebrate kingdom, females are bigger than males typically, and in this variety, that's the case. So a female of this would be bigger yet. This is quite a bit of owl. In Europe, these owls are said to kill animals as large as fox and roe deer. Now, roe deer max out at 70 pounds-ish, and I'm assuming it's the female owl killing fawns, but still the notion of an owl killing a deer is spectacular. Our great horned owls, things like skunks on the menu very much, rats, mice, rabbits, cats, dogs, falcons, hawks, all on the menu.